I'm perfect.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Sweet.
A lot of the times when I plug us in to start editing, I'm like, Jarrod's was louder, so I'll like bump myself up a couple decibels or something. Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, I'm just a loud person. I've accepted this.
Yeah, because you're E.
I'm E?
Yeah, the first letter in your Myers-Briggs.
Oh, shoot.
Is extrovert.
Yeah.
E. I'm introvert. I. Yeah. Welcome to the Forest Creek podcast. We got really wrapped up in a conversation earlier about personality types and tests. I've been thinking about this for quite a while because I did my Myers-Briggs thing for real for the first time.
I think it's funny that you've just found out about this.
It's not that I just found out, it's that I never paid attention.
Okay.
So like I'd hear people throw this thing around and be like, man, there's something about psychology and academics that I'm like, dismiss. I don't pay attention. And then a lot of people are, because it sounds very horoscopy, the way people tend to use it.
Yeah.
When people like put it on their dating profiles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm an integer. You're an integer? What does that mean? Actually read it and I was like, oh, okay. So these letters each mean like one of two things. It's just put in this order and it's like kind of helpful for determining people's possibility or personality, in that sense. So we have introvert, extroverted, like which way is your personality disposed? Are you a thinking or feeling kind of person? Are you a sense or intuition kind of person? Are you a judgmental or observant type of person? And again, judgmental here, not in the negative way that like you're, deciding
it's
people
not like
are
you're
lower
constantly
class.
judging people.
No, but you are judging situations.
Yeah.
You're forming opinions about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more so if someone asks you, hey, how do you feel about this? Even though you've just experienced it.
So
like, what did you think of the movie? It's like, give me a day.
So we both took the test. And the personality test that we took gives you like these fun little names for the different personality tests. You're like, you're the explorer or something like that. Right?
I was the protagonist.
Yeah, I was the architect.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is, it sounds cool. And then they also, that particular test like to add like an extra letter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we both got the same one. We got A.
Yeah, I don't even know what the other letter.
We assumed it was like assertive.
I'm pretty sure because I remember seeing that in the description.
Are you an agreeable person? We're also going to talk about other types of personality tests, maybe some horoscopes and IQ, which is something I've recently become interested in. I'm curious about that stuff. But to start off, Myers-Briggs, what are your letters?
ENFJ.
ENFJ.
Yeah.
So, extroverted, intuitive, feeler, judger.
Yeah.
Do you think this is accurate to you?
I don't. When I did the test, I'd already done it so many times. I've kind of gone through the personality test phase because I used to be super duper into them.
But this isn't like which Hogwarts house are you in?
But I mean, I'm more so I've done it a million times. So I didn't.
Finding out who I am.
I don't remember a whole ton about the Myers-Briggs thing. I think it's mostly accurate whenever I read it, but I didn't even read the summary of what the protagonist was.
I remember there was a phase of like Facebook where you can click into this infinite rabbit hole of Facebook personality quizzes. And I used to fill out, so it's like, which of the 7 deadly sins are you? Or something like that, right? Or like, which character of X TV show?
Yeah.
Or what would be your superpower?
Yeah.
Or again, which Hogwarts house are you? Is like one of the most famous ones that people do. Like, where would the sorting hat put you? Right? Which Lord of the Rings character? It's nonstop. You can do it for anything. People love to do them because they're like, I'm a Slytherin. Which I've joked before that I am a Slytherin. All the tests point me there. I don't know what to do about that. Harry Potter people think I'm evil.
Become a snake.
Wow. That's all that's left. You call the Slytherin, so you become evil.
Yeah, tattoo all of your skin green.
Well, I don't know how that would contribute. I haven't met one.
Be a snake.
Not even Voldemort.
No, but he got rid of his nose for it.
Do you think he did that to be more like a snake? Was that the purpose?
Did he do it?
Was it like a cosmetic thing? It's like, I don't feel comfortable with this proboscis.
He's trans snake.
Yeah, he's trans reptilian.
Yeah.
So, E, I think it's an easy one for you to say that you are.
Not necessarily, actually, because every test I've taken, I'm only slightly extroverted. So I'm generally like 56. I've never actually seen a test that put me as extroverted over 60%.
It's interesting that that would be the case, because having seen you in person at parties and stuff, it's like
Yeah.
you're really extroverted.
I think I
in
like the
those
way
situations.
Matt describes it, of like when you're extroverted, when you're on that extrovert introvert line, you essentially just have a good use of your social battery. And
Oh,
so I
interesting.
don't necessarily get charged by being around a lot of people and being at social events. It's that I can do so for days on end, and then I need an entire day for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just really good at using that sort of energy.
It's funny when we come back from a camping trip with our friends, Bo's like, I don't want to see you guys for another 3 weeks before
Yeah.
I need a good break from everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, well, even on those camping trips, we'll have times where we go wander off on our own or something,
Yeah.
or with just one other person.
Need a minute.
Yeah. So it's like, well, I'll drive back, we'll hit up IHOP, and then it's like, yeah, see ya. I'm not looking at this footage.
See you in 3 months.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I guess that's kind of true. It's like the social battery. I got I consider it's weird because I was talking to somebody about this. Like, I'm somebody who's on stage a lot. I'm on this microphone. I'm in front of
Yeah.
cameras, but I don't consider myself extroverted at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I get kind of tired out of parties, and it's not always like exhausted or anxious. It's just bored.
I think, oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, I find myself bored. It's like, this is not the place. I've described it before as like, I do well where ideas do well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like on a podcast, in front of a camera, on a stage,
Yeah.
I can do well there.
I think those things are also different from extroversion necessarily. Because extroversion, as far as I can tell, is like
it's not necessarily
socializing and talking with people, whereas being on a stage,
being performative.
it's all you.
Yeah,
You do whatever you want.
being performative is different than being social.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because nobody's talking to you, they're just looking at you.
I think for the longest time, like, I've always been somebody who kind of confused both those things.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'd be social in a way that was performative. And then that would get you wrapped up in things that you know, it's not
Yeah.
honest social. It's, you're doing a thing. You're doing
Yeah.
a bit. Which can get exhausting to be in. And then you'll be like, oh, I guess I'm not social because I don't like performing this bit all the time. Even though you weren't social in the first place, you were just
Yeah.
performative. Which is something I found about myself a lot, especially in high school. But yeah, I intend it more on the I side. And I think it's like, for me, it's because I feel the most free when I'm alone. It's like there's a special kind of freedom of talking to somebody who knows you very well, because it almost kind of enhances you being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But you're only really yourself when you are alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, when I'm myself the most, that's when I'm the most free. Right? Whereas I feel like if the more and more people I'm around, especially people that I don't know, it adds a layer of like, okay, well, I'm modifying the way I'm acting because I'm not 100% sure that this is the wise way to act in front of people or in this context until I have more information.
Yeah.
Right? Like at work, the way that I tend to act to people who are my bosses at work, right away, I'll fix
Yeah.
that now.
Yeah.
I'll get it done. I'll just be as honest and straightforward as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good because I like being professional like that. It gives me that air of it. Right? I'm just focusing on the task. It's like, well, you don't want to betray what people think of you.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, you do need to maintain some kind of honesty.
Yeah.
Right? So that way you can be yourself around these people.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, when in the question of where can you be yourself the most, you know, you have to figure out a way to be yourself everywhere if you're trying to be healthy. Right?
Yeah.
It's just yourself is also going to be the person who's doing, you know, the work.
Yeah, you know what's interesting on that? Because in high school, I wondered if I was putting on various masks and performances around other people. Because I had a lot of different friend groups, and I found I acted differently in each friend group. What I came to the conclusion of is not that I was putting on different acts for different people. It's that I was able to discern that different jokes would land with different people, or different topics and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, these people are interested in that, these people are interested in that, and I'm interested in all of those things. So I don't act this way with that group, I don't act this way with that group, not out of hiding anything, but simply because why would I do that here? It's not relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy at work, one of superiors at work, and he was just saying, it's like, oh, I know I like reading, but I like to read about, you know, tangible things, not always like even history. I don't like reading fiction. And I don't even like reading history, but like I like reading economics or politics or something biographical or something that's like tangible.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, is like I love classical philosophy. I love old literature and stuff like that, and a lot of fiction. So if I'm going to bring up that stuff, it's not necessarily the most fixed thing to do when it's with that person.
Yeah, there's no point.
Right? It's not that I'm not being myself. It's just that I'm trying to find out what's the most effective way to be myself around this person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, for me, being introvert, in a room full of people, it's increasingly difficult, and I just get, like, the opt-out is to be quiet. And there's also, like, sometimes if I'm around a lot of extroverted people who are being extroverted in that moment, like, if I can't get into the bubble, I just kind of revert to being oddly quiet.
Yeah, I've noticed that because I tend to go the opposite of if there's a new bunch of people there, I'll ask them questions and I'll talk with them, and I'm a loud person in general, and if we're at a party and there's music, I'm even louder because I want them to hear me.
Me, on the other hand, I just shrink out of existence until I just disappear.
Yeah.
Which, is, in hindsight, is like, I wish I didn't do that a lot. But also, like, I'm bored. I'm leaving. So it's not, you're not a boring person. It's not something you did. You enjoy your time. This ain't me. I'm out. Like, let's go have a coffee and do one-on-one. I'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
You can have a discussion on stage. Can't really have a discussion in a club or at a rave. It's
like, a lot harder to hear people.
A lot harder.
Yeah, man. Totally.
Nobody's gonna hear you in the first place. Yeah. I also like it's dumb. It's like I can be there and enjoy the moment. I can go to the movie theater and watch the movie, but I'm not interested in sticking around very often. Like, I'll just be here for the brief experience, and then zap, I'm out. I'm out. I'll just call the UFO and just beam me up. Like, yeah. It's like, and then I'll like try to take some time on my own to just decompress from that. Yeah.
Whereas I'll generally stay extremely late with the last stragglers.
Like, those are some of the times where I love those times too.
Yeah,
at parties, like,
it's rewarding because you get the whole big group experience, and the more you stick around, it's like help clean up a bit, and then it's just you and one or two other people.
Oh, I leave before cleaning up. No, but I like sticking around till like everybody's tired. We've delegated the cleaning up to tomorrow. So now we're just, as we're winding down, everybody's too tired to keep up their walls.
Yeah.
So they're being silly, but it's also quiet. We've turned down with the music now.
Yeah.
We're sharing the deep stories. We're having the deepest conversations of the night, and it's like everybody's too tired to prevent it. So that's introverted, extroverted.
Yeah.
And again, it's like a spectrum. I think I was actually like 45% extrovert.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was like a pretty close
thing.
But I consider myself as like, if I'm going to pick one of the two, I'll pick introverted because it's like more comfortable. I'd rather do introverted things.
Yeah, I don't know, because I really like...
So we went to a winery today. Would you consider that an introverted or extroverted activity?
Extroverted, because we're with people. But we were with a pretty small group, so it could be on the low end of extroversion, definitely.
Maybe something to that. I know that like the winery itself, when we were inside it, people are loud and they're talking, the voices echoing everywhere.
Yeah.
It had a bit of an extroverted atmosphere. But going to a restaurant, going out to dinner with a small group of people that you know pretty well, I consider that introverted.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm talking to you. There's nothing I can bring up that you won't know.
Yeah.
Same thing with Andres, same thing with Merrick when we were out. It's like, the people we were out with, they would understand everything.
Yeah, I'd say that's why it's like low end of extroversion.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's people you know. It's a social setting, but it's close friends that you know.
If it was strangers, if it was people that you didn't know very well, that's more on the extroverted side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you're at a wedding and you're seated with random people.
Yes. Which is like, I've been in that situation. It's not always that bad, but it's also like, again, boring. If you had sat me at a table alone, I would enjoy that actually quite well. Which sounds like, that's so sad, so cute, little introvert. So don't pity me. I don't want to be around you. No, I'm kidding. I love everybody, but in small doses.
But go away.
Small doses. I will choose to be around you.
I think what is it? I think my brother described my dad like perfectly one time. He was like, yeah, we'll have people over. It's like, yeah, come on over. It's a great time. And it's like super extroverted. It's like, all right, it's been 4 hours. Get out of my house. He doesn't say that, but
Yeah.
It's like, go away.
Then comes S or N, sense or intuition.
Yeah, describe this one again, because it sounded pretty... The description sounded hard to distinguish.
You
earlier.
are confronted with a choice. Your reasoning for the choice is going to be based off of one of two things. It's going to be based off of what is everything else indicating? Am I going to go with the flow? Am I going to go with where the world outside is suggesting I should go? Or am I going to go with what inside of me is suggesting?
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
Are you going outwards or inwards to figure out where your answer is going to come
And
from?
so sensory is outwards?
So sensory is outwards. That's like, oh, I'm going to go with the crowd.
Huh.
Right? I'm going to go with the flow. I'm going to go with what my senses are indicating to me
Mm-hmm.
is the right way. Versus intuition versus what is my instinct telling me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes those two things are the same. You see a fire, you're like, oh, that's hot. Both your sense and your instinct tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
If you are, sometimes it's actually quite true of politics a lot of the time. We have people who are, what is the mainstream opinion? What is the contrarian opinion?
Yeah.
Right? So that's very true in politics. Or, it's like picking style in clothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what does your intuition tell you should do? What is what does your instinct tell you will be most comfortable versus what do you like in fashion?
Yeah.
Right? So there's that difference between sense and intuition.
Mm-hmm.
We both got the same one. We both have N.
Yeah, your description of this makes me feel like I'm more sensory, actually.
Interesting.
Because I tend to follow. And so, like, in recent examples, if I'm driving somewhere...
I'll preface this. I could be wrong. I hardly read it.
Yeah. It sounds right. So we'll go with it. Like, in a recent example, if I was driving somewhere and the left lane was completely open, but the right lane was filled, and I don't know... I know I have to turn right at some point, but I don't know if it's right here. And I stuck in the right lane, even though it was filled to the brim and the left was empty, because I'm like, maybe there's a reason the left is empty, and it goes to the wrong place. So I stuck in the right lane. And I tend to do that. Even if it's like, if I'm just if I'm going to a concert and I don't know where the venue is exactly, I'll look for large groups of people and I'll follow them.
You follow someone who looks like they know where they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'll see what people are doing.
Yeah.
Even to the point, like, growing up, I would copy everything my brother did. So it's like, if he put on shoes as opposed to flip-flops, I would put on shoes as opposed to flip-flops. I wouldn't think about where I was going or what I was doing.
I guess my example of me using intuition would be like, I was hiking last November. I was, doing a lot of snowshoeing. And I came to this one area where it's like, oh, crap, I turned the wrong way. Now I'm way down this trail that I didn't really want to be. Option A is I can go right and go hike pretty much all the way back where I came, curve around this thing, go all the way back up this trail. Or option 2, I can just beeline it across the forest. Like, I know what direction the right trail is in. The way there will be hard, but I can make it very easily.
Yeah.
The go with the flow would be to follow the path.
Yeah, take the trails and go all the way around.
Intuition is I know what the direction is.
Yeah.
I'll just go there. And that's what I did. So that's like a very literal way of doing it. But in general, I've always kind of been an intuitive person.
Interesting. I think I'm more S, actually.
I will seek information. I will ask people, will this prevent me? Will this be 100% wrong if I do this way? It's like, if I jump from here, will I hit the bricks? Like, will it hurt?
Yeah.
Versus if you're telling me, is there a percentage and it might not be the wrong choice? Then I have to think. And the same thing is like my political opinions and philosophical opinions tend to be contrarian because of that.
Okay.
I'm like, why are we debating ethics?
Yeah.
It's like, I already know what it is that I feel is morally correct.
Yeah.
I don't need to debate this. I have the intuition that's telling me that this is the way. Something like that. And it tends to be helpful for like deciding on a project, because there could be a lot of chaos around you, but then you decide, my instinct tells me this is the correct wording for this marketing piece or something like that.
Yeah.
So it can be a powerful thing. You know, there's a famous video game, Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
There's this one line that one of the characters says in the beginning. It's like, society has taught you how to fail, but you can trust your instincts because they taught you how to succeed. Yeah. It was like the instinct is what got carried over from the previously surviving evolutionary state, right? But at the same time, being able to read what the rest of the herd is doing, or being able to just take in physical space around you and be like, what is the correct way?
Yeah.
Or just follow the map. That's also very important because as much as beelining it through the forest saved me a lot of time and energy, I could have been drastically wrong.
Yeah.
It's like it could have been very bad. You know, there's a lot of cases where that happens with hikers and whatnot. You know? Yeah, but that's S and N. There's not really much of a difference. I guess, like you said, you tend to be a little bit more
I
sensory.
think I didn't look at the percentages for most of the other things, and the extroversion thing, I've gotten that 50-something percentage across multiple things. But I think I want to say I'm closer to S than I am N, but I'm probably still on that line of like either 50 or 40%. Yeah.
Yeah. The next one, and this is an interesting place where a lot of personalities split off. It's T or F, which is, are you a thinker or a feeler, right? Are you someone who's making your decisions with your head or your heart? We both got T here.
No, I
Did
got
we?
F.
You
I
got F. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's accurate to you?
I would solidly say yes.
Yeah.
Because I do go through thinking things and I'll plan things out.
It's like if you're a feeler, it doesn't mean you're never using your brain.
No, because I do plan out my day and meals and things like that. But I'll also suddenly decide I want cinnamon buns and I will get in the car and go get cinnamon buns. Essentially, I'll have a planned day, but it will change hour to hour depending on what I'm feeling.
I will mention that sometimes it might seem like being a feeler is actually very close to being intuitive, right?
Yeah.
Which they are very close. I feel like they are connected, but like you can see, you got N and F.
Yeah.
Right. You got intuition and feeling.
Yeah.
So like going to get the cinnamon buns, like that could be your instinct. That could be just a feeling about something.
Yeah.
Right? But like in a situation where, say, you have to decide who's going to go in which car.
Yeah.
Or you're splitting up a group. It's like, are you making that based off of your emotion?
I think F, it's like the way I'm thinking about it is I'm more susceptible to giving in to whatever I'm feeling at any given time. Like, it's a fight for me to think logically, okay, I need to do this. Like lately, I waste my evenings because I just kind of want to sit down and watch something, even though I know I need to do laundry and clean the kitchen and I should cook food and I should put away that thing and I should water my plants. And I can do all that in one evening or two. But instead, I will watch some show for 3 hours or 4 hours and then go to bed. And I'll be like, whatever, I'll just buy food tomorrow. And then 2 weeks passes by and I've bought food every single day and wasted a ton of money. And I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Or like I skipped 1 day of the gym this week and that turned into 3 days.
But being a feeling person is like, you know, if we're talking about how that positively disposes you, it's like it's good to have an account of the way you feel about something.
Yeah.
And the way other people feel about something, you know, to actually regard the way people are interested or disinterested or happy about something. Or
yeah, I think a positive aspect of feeling, I don't know how this would relate. Because I immediately went to
passionate element to it.
Yeah, I immediately went to understanding how other people are feeling. Maybe that's
Are you an empath?
unrelated though. I'm an empath, dude. I think I'm psychic.
Are you an empathetic person? Do you have basic human empathy?
Dude, I can look at somebody and their face, and if they've got a scowl, I can tell that they're mad.
You know, I just read To Kill a Mockingbird, and then he said, put yourself in that other person's shoes, and I was like, wow, that really clicked to me.
I go, dude, I do that. I steal shoes.
Well, yeah, that's part of the positive part about being an F person. Is not just the way you feel about things, but the way other people feel about things. Being empathetic, it kind of makes people like a good counselor, right? At least somebody who's a good listener, or someone who you know is going to understand and reciprocate your feeling about something.
Yeah.
I'm a T. I'm the other way. I'm the thinker, the logical. Like, you tell me you're feeling, and I go, does not compute. I mean, it's always kind of made sense to me. I think part of it is also being, oddly enough, to me, this is connected to intuition, because at least my lack of because like I know this was one of the areas where like I went really far into thinker and hardly.
Oh, you get like a super high percentage of it?
Yeah. Which was interesting because it's not. I don't consider myself to be like, your feelings don't matter.
Yeah, you're not a Ben Shapiro about it.
Yeah, but I am a little bit in the sense that like your feelings will matter when I say they matter. If they don't, like in this active minute, not really.
Yeah,
I don't really care.
Yeah,
much. It's like So when I do something, especially if it's connected to that end, if it's connected to my intuition, disregard. Don't care. Don't care. Especially like because it's like let's imagine political causes again. People get very heated and emotional about their topic. I disregard it. If your thing to me does not make sense, if it doesn't cohere with my end, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's immaterial to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which, it's like, I understand sometimes when I describe my own personality, I come off very discompassionate.
Yeah.
This is not my intent.
Well, it's interesting because you can come off that way, but I think what counters that is you're also hyper aware of how people are feeling generally, because many times we've been hanging out at a party or even just like at a restaurant or something, and I'll be saying things and you'll tell me later, it's like, dude, why did you talk that way or speak like this? Like, I don't know, it was you'll chastise me later.
I'll give you a review.
Yeah.
Like that story you told, 2 stories, went on too long.
Yeah.
No. See, that makes you sound even less compassionate because I'm just like, I don't care about Jarrod. I'm going to tell him how I think.
Like, it's less so not caring about me and more so pointing out to me how another person was feeling. Because I miss that crap all the time.
You just go. you go.
Yeah.
These things. I tend to like look across the person you're talking to, and they're just stuck here. It's like, man, I remember being stuck there before.
Yeah, 90% of the time you tell me, like, whatever, he's just misinterpreting it.
Which I mean, like, I'm sure I am overanalyzing.
The other part of the time is just like, whatever, that person will think what they think.
I like to think that I am very compassionate with people that I care about. If I don't know you, it's like not a great case.
Yeah.
Sometimes like you can tell me something about you within the first minute of meeting you that will make me go, I like this person.
Yeah.
And then I'll be more willing to like be more and more compassionate. But like especially nowadays, I feel like we are forced to try to empathize with strangers a lot, and I feel like that's a really easy path to insanity. Because you were not meant as a human being to know that many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's 50-50 because I tend to overly care about what's, maybe not even overly, maybe a perfect amount, to care about what's inconveniencing another person at any given time. Like, I'm aware if I'm blocking a doorway or something and I'm like, I need to move. Or if our group is on a sidewalk and there's somebody coming, I'm like, I'll subtly try and get people to move and quickly point out that there's somebody coming.
Yeah.
And just it's like, hey, we don't want to be in this person's way. Even though it's like, I've never met this person. Why do I care?
Spatial awareness? Like that, I'd like to be on the ball
in social encounters like that.
Yeah.
Or even if it's like, I don't know, like Andres, when we go to any restaurant, and he'll sit at whatever seat he thinks is the best seat.
I've always joked about this.
Yeah. It's like, because like when we're walking, when the waitress is leading you down, and you're the first person, you always go to the far end of the table so everybody else can just smoothly move in. He will go to the farthest outside seat because that's where he wants to sit. It's like, well, there's 4 of us, dude, so get up.
Yeah.
Either get up or move in. Like, why would you choose the worst possible seat to sit in?
He's like, you're just going to stop here and obstruct all of us.
Yeah.
So we all have to, like, take the extra steps and walk around. Yeah. I don't know. I've always tried, when it comes to spatial awareness, I don't know which one of the letters this fits into, but I've always been like, okay, that person's walking this way, I'm walking this way.
Yeah.
It happened to me once in the very beginning of high school when I was like 8th grade, short kid, and everybody else is like walking to classes. I got caught in a tidal wave of traffic in the hallway and ended up at a completely different part of the school than I was intending to go.
Yeah.
I will never let that happen again. So I've always tried to maintain some spatial awareness.
Well, see, I think that's a different idea, like a different, I guess, purpose around the awareness is where you want things to flow smoothly, whereas I don't want to be an inconvenience to that person.
Which is like, when I think flow smoothly, it's like, well, this is a convenience to everybody.
Yeah. Whereas I will put myself in an inconvenient position if it gets somebody else convenient and send them a path through or something. But anyway, like that.
When it comes to the effort T here, when I think about a problem in general, the way I consider it, I'm like, all right, how do I logically work this out?
Yeah, I think that's where I go as well.
Right. Even though you're an F.
I think, so that's where I think maybe this is one where I'm on the border more towards feeling, because I will try and logically think through it, but I will be, depending on the situation, probably frantic the whole time.
Yeah.
So I know, like, at work all the time, if it's, we need to make this output and we need to get it out now, but I've never heard of that output in my life. So I know for a fact, I go through the logical steps of I need to review notes, I need to Google things, and I need to look up and I need to theorize, but I'll be freaking out the whole time, whether that's internally or externally.
It's interesting. I remember when we talked before about like the way we've handled different stresses, different problems. And you told me about like a way that, you know, you were telling me about like some burdens that you were working through or something like that. And I remember your solutions to it were all like, I'm changing the way I'm thinking about it so that I can reinforce the way I feel about it. So I can feel better about the thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it was like, I'm just stopping the feeling. I'm putting it I'm putting it aside for a moment and just concentrating on thinking. Yeah. Because if I have a solid thinking foundation, the feeling will follow later.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it works out because it's like, it's a good way to get through the pain. It's like, well, I'm going to have to be in pain.
Yeah.
So let me maintain the thinking and just concentrate on that, because eventually I won't be in pain and I'll be glad I had thought my way out of this.
I can't really think like that because I absolutely despise being in pain of any sort.
Well, it's interesting because like then when it works out for you, you fix the pain.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't work out with you, you've changed the way that you felt about something that's actually bad for you.
Yeah.
To a degree that's negative. You're like, oh, I like this. Being on fire? Actually okay. I don't mind the melting skin. For me, I'm like, I'm really on fire right now. Let's just concentrate on the fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Let's just get there. I'll figure the rest out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I will reel back and scream at this melted skin later. Yeah. Which, like, I guess that's what kind of makes me click with, you know, we've mentioned a lot of Stoic stuff last while. So, like, when the Stoics, like, when you read in Meditations, and Marcus is just like, you're just gonna have to be in pain. It's like, your perception on it, it's interesting because, again, that caters to what we both talk about. It's like, your perception on it is what's gonna cause you a lot of pain. Yeah. So that is very an F way to look at it, right? Is my perception is the feeling about it, so it's like that. Yeah. The other way is the obstacle is the way. It's like, well, now I'm just thinking about the obstacle, how I'm gonna logically get over this obstacle. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like there's both sides of it there. The last one is we said it was O or J.
Yeah.
I don't
We're pretty certain
seeing an O. I just know that the difference is
because everybody in our group chat got J. So,
do you want to know why?
Why?
Because we're all dudes.
Whoa.
No, I'm kidding. I'm sure there's a lot of O's that are. Who knows? I don't know what the other letter is. I'm assuming it's an O.
Because Ryan put his personality. I wonder if he got an O. I don't remember.
What if it's like a Z for whatever reason? Observer.
Let's see. Whoa. Kyle got some cool stuff. Whatever. What was this? INTJ. Yeah, I got ENFJ, same as Josh. Did Ryan put his in?
I put a list of them. If you scroll up to...
it was Cole. He got ENFP. P. Perceiving. That's it. Judging, prospecting. That's it.
So if you go up higher, I wrote a little description of all.
It wasn't intuition and sensing. It was intuitive or observant.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, intuitive or observant?
Yeah.
Which I guess I thought was sense.
Yeah.
Wow. We need to do the whole podcast over.
Yep. Hey, man. 3 out of 4. Pretty solid.
Hey, my phone died earlier today, and I
Yep.
haven't looked at it, and I'm just off the dome. I felt like that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, same idea.
Yeah, we more or less got it. You can observe, you can sense.
So judging
same
and
thing.
judging or prospecting.
Are you acting based off of the way that you were observing the situation or your intuition? And then are you somebody who is predisposed to judge and form an opinion about a situation? Or are you someone who would rather wait for more information?
That makes sense. Yeah, prospecting.
Getting
all the prospects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think related to intuition, related to being able to be an instinctive person,
Yeah.
for me, J is very strong.
Mm.
At least I'm pretty sure that was one of the things that was higher percentage in. Is I'm more likely, like, I know when I don't have the information I don't need, or
Yeah.
like I know when I don't have information that I need to form this opinion.
Yeah.
Because forming the opinion is critical for me. It's like forming the decisive idea of what I'm going to do next. So I'll know when like somebody tells me, here is information bits A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And then I'll be able to, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Judge is very fast for me. But if you tell me here's A and B, I'll be like, I will come back and be like, where's C? You know?
Yeah.
There are some people who get, here's ABC, and they'll go, what if a D shows up? What if a D shows up? So they stop. And they,
Yeah.
you know, it's, so what that does, it's good for creating people who like to learn, who like to wait and observe and be patient.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're thinking about somebody who is gonna take action right away,
Yeah.
or gonna have an idea of what they want or what they're thinking about, if you're intuitive, you might even be predisposed to be a judger too. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's pretty on par. I think I used to be prospecting growing up because I think going back to intuitive or observant when I was more observant. So I would copy people. I would wait for people to do things and then I would do what they did, specifically my brother. But it kind of bled into all aspects of life. I would wait and form an opinion based on what other people were doing, or even take action based on what they were doing. And it's only in recent years, like the last...
You're a sheep.
Right? Wake up, me. But I think it's only in recent years that I've become more judging, in that I found me and a lot of my friends were indecisive, and it started to annoy me after like a year. I was like, especially one specific group of friends, all of us were indecisive. So now so throughout our time, whenever we were hanging out, I would just start making decisions about where we were going or what we were doing, and they'd be like, yeah, all right, and nobody would complain. And that started bleeding over into other things, especially as I got more responsibility at work and various things like that, and I needed to make decisions without being able to ask anybody anything or confirm something because nobody else had an answer. So I just had to become more judging, and now I can look at things and be like, okay, this or that. Because now indecision freaking annoys me. If I can take my time, I will, but I'll also tend to get carried away with that. Like a good recent example is I needed to make the demo reels for our company. Yeah. And it was like I had to just go through every movie we've ever done and find good shots. And I was making a really long process out of it until one day the boss was just like, I need this done in the next 2 hours. And so I rapidly created the whole thing in 2 hours. Yeah. Because I was like, okay, I know exactly what I'm looking for and what I need. So I would just ran through all the good clips I had chosen as rapidly as possible and just went this one. So if I have the time, I will prospect and wait and make decisions and take way too much time. But if I have a time limit, then boom, I make decisions.
I am somebody who's very pathological. You know, and I think that word, that descriptor tends to be attached to the word liar. But being pathological means that like I tend to think according to pathos, which is funny because it's like you'd think someone who had the T was more logos disposed, somebody who was like very logical. My thing is I think about stories a lot, so I tend to think in stories, and I create the story in my head. And so that when I am hearing things, I'm putting them in the order of the story.
Yeah.
And so that makes it easier for me to process the idea. So that helps me do those two things. It's like, it helps me form the instinct, the N.
Yeah.
And then it also helps with the J. Because I am quick to make my opinion about something or render judgment on something based on where and how it fits into the story.
Yeah.
If I look at, a politician I don't like, I'll be like, that lady looks like a vampire. That was a really quick judge right there. It's like, I didn't even have to really listen to her argument.
Yeah.
But when I do listen to it, it's like, vampire.
Yeah.
Some things are in there, right? It's not like, I do want to be an open-minded person, and I try to be. It's like, I think to some degree I'm open-minded, but like, especially more recently, I've started to go, no, I'm pretty secure in what I believe and what I think, and I don't need to jump into everybody else's world. Right? It's like, why be open-minded if it does not profit me,
Yeah.
Just along the axiom of selfishness that I tend to, like to portray in myself.
Yeah.
I render the judgment. It's like, does this fit into the story? Especially if it's the story where I'm looking for my happy end, right? So I can listen to what somebody's saying, or I can see what kind of problem they're facing, and I'll do my best to listen to them and be as compassionate as I can. But in my head, I'm like, you should probably stop eating Snickers. That's probably one of the things that's bringing you down.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. I don't feel like I can't leave. I feel depressed. I was like, you should leave because it's making you more depressed. So I'm pretty quick there, but it can make you discompassionate, which is something that does show up in me a lot. I'll be like, I don't really feel that much for you. You could get off the couch and start doing things.
Yeah. I tend to get on that path, like, caught up in what somebody is saying and how they're feeling, and try and think of ways to help or whatever. But then at some point, I've gotten a lot better at this in recent years, switching to that mindset of, you could fix that. I don't need to help you. You don't need me.
Because it sounds discompassionate, but it's like, I've gotten along this train. I had like an inner thesis of being more selfish. Because it's like being more selfish. Like, again, it sounds
because most people have the opposite of, I'm too selfish, I need to be less selfish.
I was like, well, look, I'm being selfish because it's actually helping me be effective, so that I can be empathetic and be helpful to others in a way that matters.
Put on the gas mask yourself before you apply it to your children.
Being a social media influencer about every cause is a waste of your time. It is. I'm sorry to say that. You can sign 1 million petitions and read 1 billion articles and have no effect on the world around you. You can argue with people on the internet all day and not change anything. If you concentrate on yourself, if you Jordan Peterson your room up, if you figure out how to fix your life and put it on a better track, you're actually better equipped and better disposed to help people in general. So I always think selfishly. When someone's telling me to be inclusive about something, it's like, yeah, on its face, that sounds like a good idea. But if I really want to weigh out how good of an idea this is, does it profit me? Which sounds evil, doesn't it? It sounds like the exact opposite of what these inclusive people want me to do. But it doesn't matter if I'm being inclusive on a sinking ship. It matters if I'm being inclusive on a ship that's going well. But if I want to keep it going well, I have to be very strict and judgmental about the situation. I have to render a judgment here. I have to look at the story of like, all right, how's this going for the rest of everything? So I can use the metric of, let's think, I have the introverted, like, I'm not going to just say my opinion right away.
Yeah.
I have the intuition of, like, I don't know if this is going to work out. I have the thinking of going, oh, let me disregard the feeling here a little bit and just think logically, how is this going to apply to the situation? And then the judgment to be like, this does not work.
Yeah.
Not, I'm going to give you a chance and see how it goes. I'm going to be like, I don't see you working here. I don't see this fitting.
Yeah.
Right. And all these things, again, they sound discompassionate and mean. But I use them because I believe that this is the best way for me to be as best equipped to actually help the people that I care about, the things I care about.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know how to end the war in Ukraine. I don't know how to do it. It's a lot of people don't know how to do it. It's hard. I take my hat off to anybody who spends all day thinking about this, especially if it's your job to do that. But if it's not your job to do that, recognize you probably can't really do a lot. If you know somebody, send them some stuff.
Some weapons.
Yeah, some weapons. Send them $40 billion. If you really don't have any connections to that kind of place, you can shrug your shoulders and go, oh, that's bad. How's the garlic bread here? just just kind of go along. And again, it seems discompassionate. But like, really, truly, what are you supposed to do? There's a lot of people in the world. The people you are best equipped to help are the ones who are next to you. Which is why loyalty to me is also a really big deal. It's important for me to like be loyal to the people I know and care about and to maintain that good relationship. You maintain your relationships kind of like a gardener tending a garden. You can see the plants in your garden. You can see how they're being fed, how they're getting enough light, enough water, enough nutrients. And you take care of them like so. And you forgive mistakes. You weed things out. You cannot garden the entire earth. You can take care of the garden in your yard.
Yep.
You can't go to a national park and decide you're going to pluck out every week. You could be there a while. Arguably forever. And not make much, which is where we get to, again, loyalty important to me. That's where we would get into star signs. I'm loyal because I'm a Scorpio.
You're a Scorpio?
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a Scorpio growing up because it's the coolest name.
It just, because it's related to scorpions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I find it funny. My sister's like, I'm a Cancer. I was like, that sounds bad.
It's like the first time I heard that, I was like,
Cancer.
really?
I was like, yeah.
Cancer?
You're a Cancer.
Why would there be a sign called
Aries.
Cancer?
I'm a Taurus. I don't know what. And I don't mean to make fun of people. It's like, I think there's something very real about astrology.
Yeah.
And the macro. In the micro, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, think about it this way. We used to navigate the earth. We used to plant crops based on the position of the moon and the stars. We literally use the moon to track the weeks, the months. People would navigate deserts and oceans.
Which blows my mind.
Right? We'd tell time. The Greek myths are full of stories that end up with those heroes getting cast into the sky.
Yeah.
Right? So to come around, the thing is, because planting crops, for instance, we can tell this pattern of stars shows up in the sky around the time that we're going to harvest. This is a pattern that repeats in the heavens and on earth.
Yeah.
Micro and the macro. I brought up today, we were talking about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
As above, so below is one of the tenets of Hermetic philosophy that show up around this, right? It's the patterns in the macrocosm repeat in the microcosm and vice versa, right? So we tend to look up at there and go, okay, well, if they're repeating in the macrocosm, if the way the stars are placed can change the happenings down on Earth, maybe that's true of individuals. Individuals born at this time of year tend to be more like the personality types that we find on the large scale that are repeated by these star shapes. So we'll associate people born with these characteristics to the star sign, Scorpio, or so on, right? Which is where you end up with this stuff. But when they say all Scorpios are going to get into a car accident on this day,
no.
Which is hilarious. I mean, it sounds so silly. There's a little tidbit of truth in here. And it's not 100% wrong. That's why people read these horoscopes all the time.
It's interesting because...
oh, this connects with me.
Yeah. It's like I did some deeper digging into that a while back. And I was like quite surprised that it's like I went to some website where you enter all the necessary information about yourself to be like, here's as accurate as possible a thing for you. And I was like, geez, this is like ridiculously accurate. Like probably 70 to 80% accurate to my personality, which was kind of mind-blowing. I was like, how the heck is this so accurate? So like I think there's some element of truth going on.
Some people would say that like, oh, because they wrote things that are just so easy they can apply to anybody.
But that's the thing. It wasn't. This type of person born on whatever tends to have trouble expressing themselves, like what they're thinking and feeling, and that tends to cause issues with other people. Like that's not exactly generic for a whole lot of people. It's like, oh, you have trouble. I get, maybe it is. I don't know. But like that one thing mixed in with a whole bunch of other things, I don't know. It seems more specific.
Well, it's like if someone says, like, let's take the Scorpio thing for example. Someone says you're loyal.
Like that's too generic.
It feels too generic.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to be loyal.
Yeah.
But if we talk about like how do you actually practice this in your life, it's like, well, loyalty to me is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just expressed, it's like if I know you, I'll be loyal to you. I'm not going to be loyal to people I don't know. That's why I have a hard time with these macro loyalties. Like be loyal to this organization, be loyal to this nation and stuff like that. It's like, unfortunately, I'm not it doesn't make me a very patriotic person. It's like I like the idea, but I have a problem with it in practice because it's impersonal. Right?
Yeah.
So personal loyalty is important to me. Impersonal loyalty, I just can't get behind it. But so that's one way that like this can apply to anybody. It does apply to me in this way.
Yeah.
You know, people who exhibit other traits based off of their star sign, quote unquote. It's probably along the same lines.
Yeah.
Right?
I think what interests me the most about it, and where I think there could be an element of truth, is less so like the aspect of horoscopes and astrology where people are basing their actions around whatever the current phases are, and more so the idea of how beautiful would it be if God has written about us in the stars. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's wild to think about. That it's like
fate is so illustrated.
Yeah, it's like the whole idea of like God formed us in the womb and knew who we were beforehand and wrote about it.
That's another actual bit in Hermetic philosophy when it's referenced. It's called being in the archetype and being an archetypical. Right? So you are part of the archetype.
Yeah.
This bigger pattern that repeats in stories.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen the same way, but it happens similarly. The same reason why history itself repeats. Yeah. Right? There's a lot of repeating motifs. It's like, well, because these are patterns in the macrocosm, and they...
Yeah, and think about the whole idea of the hero's journey and how we absolutely love that.
Exactly.
That whole story.
It is a repetition. We can't just do the same thing over and over again.
And even the journey itself is in a circle.
Yes, exactly. There's other types of personality tests. We talked about understanding myself.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson's test.
I like the way Jordan Peterson puts that stuff. It's like, well, fix your microcosm before you go out and fix the macrocosm. Yeah. Look below. See if you can fix what's below you before you start looking above. Right? Which is a great way to get a handle on it, right? Because everybody's tempted to be like, I can't make next month's rent. I'm going to look above me. It's my landlord's fault. It's the government's not giving me enough money. It's blah, blah, blah. And then look below. Oh, that's how much I've spent? Or this is where I had all this money lying around? So, Jordan Peterson is a famous Canadian psychiatrist. He's been in and out of the news for a number of things, for making controversial statements, for having... Honestly, people are just mad at him because he talks on large scale to men. That's the way it gets framed.
Well, I think that's... Yeah, because that's the interesting thing that he's mentioned. He's like, he's not talking to any specific group of people.
Yeah. I haven't gotten a chance to see him in person. I know people who have.
Yeah.
And like at different stages. And he has like a long story of like battling, addictions and battling psychoses and stuff like that. He's a psychiatrist who's seen a lot. And most recently he's been under some fire, especially here in Canada, where like the board is like holding him. The psychiatry boards are like we don't know if you can keep your license. It's like,
Yeah.
why? Because I talked about Elliot Page.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine if we lost our licenses for talking about Elliot Page?
Our driver's licenses.
You know, just like we were fired from our regular day jobs
Yeah,
for
right? That
talking
would be
about Elliot
insane.
Page in that episode
wild.
that will never be released.
Got it up.
You got it. All right. So, Understanding Myself is a personality test that Jordan Peterson put together.
Yeah.
It's meant to be paired, I think, to some degree with his self-authoring program, which is designed to help you like kind of figure out what your
Yeah.
life goals are, what you care about.
Yeah.
So the Understanding Myself, it has a different metric space.
Yeah, so it's the big 5, which is also each aspect has 2 sub-aspects, but who cares about those?
Give us an overview.
Number 1, agreeableness, which is separated into, this is a lot of scrolling, compassion and politeness. Then there's conscientiousness.
So let's stop on agreeableness for a second.
Yeah, okay.
Agreeableness, compassion, and politeness. Right?
Compassion
So
and
if you're
politeness.
agreeing to something, you have to be compassionate to do that. You have to get a sense of like what the person is offering to you. And then
Yeah.
politeness is also like, that's the butler part that I talked about earlier. It's like when someone tells me what to do, I go, yes, sir, right away.
Yeah.
Right? I don't fight it. There's not really much of a point most of the time. And I can, because of that, I'm open to the compassion of like, why is this important to our company?
Yeah.
Right? But generally being agreeable makes you better disposed for cooperation.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have something to add.
Conscientiousness, no. You're solid.
Conscientiousness.
The primary dimension of dutiful achievement, attention to detail, hard work, a measure of obligation. So that whole stuff.
Yeah.
Your work ethic, how clean you are, how essentially your drive to get things done.
Your consideration of how effective
Yeah.
you are being.
So like earlier I was saying, messes really don't bother me for quite a long time, and I can even learn to live in them. But so that's because I'm low in conscientiousness.
But I would say rather high in agreeableness.
Yeah.
Because if somebody was like, I'm creating messes, you'd be like, okay.
I think I would disagree with creating messes.
I mean, in general, if that was the way it was proposed. But if someone was like, look,
Yeah.
Jared, we're going to put together an organic workspace.
Yeah, I
which
think-
is-
The funniest freaking thing, man. When I did this, I wonder how much it agrees with me now, but like conscientiousness, the 6th percentile,
like in the top or just the lowest?
the lowest.
The lowest, yeah.
So the score is out of 100.
Yeah.
So in a room of 100 people, 94 of them are more conscientious than me.
Yeah. You know what's really funny? Agreeableness, when I first did this test, 1st percentile.
Oh, really?
99% of
What?
people are more agreeable than
I
am.
got 57.
Which is funny because like I
got
just explained, is like I'm agreeable on the politeness scale.
Yeah.
I'm quite disagreeable on the compassion scale.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what you got for in like
I don't remember these at
conscientiousness.
all. Conscientiousness is like, I feel like I'm a pretty conscientious
That's
person.
so funny. Because industriousness and orderliness, those are the subcategories of conscientiousness.
That's me.
And I got 7 and 11.
Industriousness and orderliness.
So orderliness, I got 7. Industriousness, I got 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty high in both those things. Like I would do pretty well at like industrious and
Yeah.
orderliness. Like
Yeah,
I like
it's
to
like-
consider I'm a pretty organized person,
Mhm.
and I know how to like structure a project pretty well.
Yeah.
So conscientiousness is like that falls within my purview.
But it's like the fact that you would start a company, the fact that you've kept it this long, the fact that you've done all the taxes and filed all the things and kept me in on dress and put out all these lists. I wouldn't do that.
yeah.
I'm not making a company
That needs
anytime
some
soon. Are you kidding me?
industriousness.
Yeah.
It takes a
It's
lot.
like the only reason I'm still in this is because you keep it up. So it's like it's
Something.
going on in the background whether I think about it or not.
Yeah.
And that helps me stay into it. If other people are doing things, I'm much better at doing things. But if I'm just sitting alone and I'm supposed to be doing work, I probably won't do work.
Interesting. That's the observant versus intuitive
Yeah.
part right there. Yeah. So beyond conscientious, what else is there?
What's the next one? Extroversion,
Extroversion,
which was interesting. I scored 34 on this.
in terms of 34% extroverted.
Like, yeah, so I'm more introverted than extroverted according to Peterson.
That's interesting. Because Myers-Briggs would be like, hang on a
I got
sec.
56 on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after that, because that we've talked a lot about that and everyone knows about extroversion. Next is, this one is interesting, neuroticism. Because this isn't really in any other test.
Yeah, and it sounds like a negative thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
But it's interesting because the way he frames it is that extroversion and neuroticism are essentially the opposites of each other, because he doesn't label it as extroversion versus introversion. It's just being low in extroversion.
Is neuroticism.
No. Is introversion.
Oh,
He doesn't separate extroversion and then introversion.
Oh.
Being introverted is being low in extroversion.
So there isn't like, he doesn't have disagreeable, he just has agreeable.
Yeah, he just has, oh, you're very, very low in agreeableness.
Or conscientiousness, there's no unconscious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like you could call them that and that's reasonable and it makes
Interesting.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on this, there is no such thing as introversion. It's just extremely low in extroversion.
I see.
And the
okay.
way he describes it is that extroversion is how you experience positive emotion, and neuroticism is how you experience negative emotion. And so if you're high in extroversion and low in neuroticism, you experience a lot of positive emotion and not a lot of negative emotion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that sense, how do you do with neuroticism?
Neuroticism, I got pretty average. I got 42nd. So I'm average, but on the lower end.
I think I have like a high tolerance for neuroticism, but also like a wide gate for it.
Yeah.
Like on instinct, I will perceive a lot of situations as being negative, but because I perceive a lot of situations being negative, I have a pretty high tolerance for negative situations.
Since we're talking about Peterson, I love his quote on that. He's like, it's such a relief being deeply, deeply pessimistic.
Because everything just turns out well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. It was like cynics always seem to have the most fun.
Yeah.
Because they're always like just hanging around, having a good time, being cynical. Even though being cynical itself sounds depressing, right? Yeah, it's an interesting thought.
I think Andres, I don't know, but I would think he scored in like the 70th at least percentile of neuroticism.
Behavior-wise, we consider him to be neurotic because he's like kind of like a fidgety kind of person.
But it's not just that. It's that, dude, if he thinks something is going wrong, it's going wrong. Oh my goodness.
Not a high tolerance for negative situations.
Yeah. Like we were walking around today just at the grocery store, and he saw the price of butter. He's like, what is this? Look at this. What's wrong with our country?
It's like everything is going.
Yeah, it's like he saw the price of butter and spiraled down gas prices in the economy.
I would look at it and be like, oh, $40. Huh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But. So we have agreeableness, conscientiousness, extroversion, neuroticism.
Yeah. And then this one's another interesting one, openness to experience.
Openness to experience. I was surprised that I got rated quite low on this, but I also consider that like I thrive in routine. I thrive in a good routine.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess that could make you more closed off to experiences, but I don't consider myself closed off.
Interesting. It's less so because the way he describes openness to experience, this is the more complicated one because it's the more abstract, but it's essentially that idea of abstract thinking and creativity, and heavily on the creativity side. It's like, do you actually create art? Do you make paintings? Do you draw? Do you make music? Things like that. It's like, it is surprising that you scored low. I would think, because it's separated into, openness to experience is separated into, I believe, intellect and
because you know me pretty well.
Interesting. Yeah.
You know me very well. You know, if I was to say I'm a creative person, I'm not wrong.
You're not, but you're also not right. Because you're not like...
I'm not an artsy person.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's where openness to experience, the higher you are, the more you're like Andres, where he draws. Like, that's all he did in high school was he made art. Yeah. He's a good artist. He loves it. But he's not like the highest ever. And there are loads of people. Like, think of Van Gogh. All he did was paint. All he wanted to do was paint. When he didn't have anything to paint on, he made something to paint on.
Yeah.
That's probably 1 billion openness to experience and stuff like that.
No, I see that.
But it's essentially, that whole idea of ideas and creativity and abstraction, where you're much more on the ideas and abstraction, less so the creation of some artistic piece and expressing that abstraction.
Yeah, that's funny because like we were talking about this earlier in the car. I was like, I've been kind of thinking about it a lot because I love comedy
Yeah.
and I love stand-up and things like that, but I'm not a very good. I haven't been able to write jokes very well. Or recently, like when I'm trying to write fiction, I'm having a hard time incorporating humor into it, despite the fact that I love humor because I love the abstraction of humor. I love the way that it works. I love thinking about it. But write a joke from nothing is so hard for me. Yeah, I think that's actually very true of a lot of my work too. Is like the from nothing is incredibly difficult for me. It's like I know when I start to tell the story, when I start to tell the thing that I'm interested in, I can really get grand with it. But even like my sense of humor is an in the moment kind of thing. I have a really hard time like writing a joke.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. That makes a lot of sense in retrospect. This openness to experience.
Yeah.
I don't know. How did you score on these things?
I got relative quite low on that, and I think it was pretty reasonable. Like, let's see what I got for openness to experience. 34.
Oh.
Yeah, I think one thing that's interesting he labels in this is your not just willingness but desire to go to like events and things. And because there's a lot of people that are like, I have to go to this concert or this museum or Burning Man or this comedy show. But honestly, I could and I want to, but I'm not like ride or die, I need to go to this event. Like, I've never particularly been that way. I could take it or leave it. Even recently, there was a concert for a band I used to like really, really like, and I would totally go to it normally, but I was like, I'm kind of busy, I don't really want to. So I never bought a ticket. Yeah.
I have a hard time with concerts because like I like music in studio better. I like music in my headphones. I don't like music or in the car. I don't love music in a theater when I'm just listening to the music. And I've been totally wrong about that if I go see like a good jazz band or something, right? Like I love that. But like if I'm thinking about, all right, stand in a crowd of sweaty people.
Dude.
I'm out.
I jump into mosh pits, man.
It's like I like loud rooms. Like I feel a sense of relief when I leave a loud room. Parties, like a recent time I've been to parties, like the thump 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 downstairs. Like I'm gonna go up to the Oasis in the kitchen, quiet. But then enough people would come up there, and I'll be like, I guess I'm going back downstairs again. You know? Yeah. So I always look for the Oasis in the party. Yeah. Because of that, like I'm not super into the big thump. Some people vibe it. Some people really love Gez. I was like, I get it. It's cool. When you're in the moment, it's awesome. I wish I could stay in the moment longer with you, but I'm just here for 5 seconds and I'm leaving. I have famously begun to do what is called the Irish exit.
Oh yeah.
When you
did it at the last party, I was like, where the heck is Raph?
Disappear. An Irish exit is you show up to the party.
Yeah.
You say hello to the host. You say hello to the people you know, and then you disappear. You just leave. Which is like you made the appearance and then you're gone.
Yeah.
I've hybridized it. I come and I hang out, and then when I decide I'm good, I don't wait for approval. I'll just disappear. Yeah.
I think what's interesting is that you can actually change them. Because what I think about, like how I mentioned earlier, it's like I think growing up I was far more prospecting than judging. And I transformed myself into judging.
Yeah.
And with introversion and extroversion, I spent most of high school in my room on my laptop. But as soon as I got to college, I flipped the switch. And I was talking to people all the time. And I was essentially growing that extroversion muscle. And I literally practiced it on whatever, like if I was buying something and I was at the cashier, I would shout out the cashier because they can't leave.
That's very true.
Yeah,
it's actually a really good tidbit for like if you're trying to teach people to get good at conversation.
Yeah.
Talk to your cashiers.
Absolutely, dude.
Talk to your waiters.
They're not gonna leave. They have to be nice to you. Well, they don't have to, but the most important thing, the interaction is gonna last like a minute, maybe 5 if they're really bad at their job.
It's interesting because it's like when we sit down at dinner and like the waiter comes over after with the bill.
Yeah.
You guys always ask, how's your night going?
Yeah.
Yeah. I never do that. I'll just be like, you can stand in silence. We're all good.
I always hate that when
It's not like an awkwardness thing or like a discompassion thing. It's just that like I'm comfortable in the silence. If you want to talk, we could talk.
Always awkward to me when we're all talking in a big group and then the server comes over and everybody shuts up. And I'm like, don't do this. Either we ignore the server and we talk to each other, or we incorporate the server. Generally, I'll incorporate the server.
I'll talk to the server like a few times, like, oh, that's a cool tattoo.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, it's really busy in here. Or something, like a little bit of that. I try not to go too deep in it. It's like, a lot of times I just move the card.
Dude, I'll find out what their major is.
Because they always have one.
Yeah.
Well, whatever personality type you are, we'd like to learn more about it. Actually, share your personalities in the comments of the video or in the podcast if we have comment fields. I know Spotify doesn't do comments, which I'm glad for. We don't really need it there. It would be like imagine how much of your life are you wasting reading Spotify comments. Anyway, no matter what type of personality you have, we would love for you to join our little club here at the Forest Creek. You can follow us on Instagram principally and Spotify at the Forest Creek, as well as youtube.com/@therealforestcreek, where we're always working on some fun media production, whether it is sketches, whether it's podcasts like this one, whether it's videos long and short form, and tons of other cool stuff. I'm trying to fire back up, get into writing again. That'd be fun. Although apparently I'm not creative enough to do it. Lots of fun stuff and stuff that we're always interested in talking about. If you want to get in touch with us, you can always do so at theforestcreek@gmail.com, and our website, as I say every episode, is coming soon, but it actually is. We got very far, and we're getting further. www.theforestcreekweb.com, where you can also find out about our media production services. Yes, that's correct. We don't just make fun stuff for ourselves. We also make
boring stuff for other people.
No, we make it fun. We make it fun. We always have fun doing this stuff.
We make it however you want us to make it.
And we make it because we love to make stuff. And love to make stuff well. So you can get our professional skills to help your professional business service. That's at the Forest Creek social media and podcasting platforms, or youtube.com/@therealforestcreek, theforestcreek@gmail.com, and theforestcreekweb.com. From E to I to N to O to T to F to J
to the O
to
the N T.
all the letters. Good night.